How to make my Eton Mess Cake with strawberry sponges, cream, meringues and more. The perfect, delicious cake. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel where I'm going to immediately address the brand new kitchen. It is new, it's shiny. I'm gonna have the YouTube tour of the kitchen, and if you've already seen this on Instagram and TikTok, you will have already seen the kitchen. But either way, welcome to the new JanesPatisserie kitchen, where today I thought I'd celebrate with one of my favorite cakes that is always so ridiculously popular when I post about it on social media, which is my Eton Mess Cake. If you sort of think about Eton Mess, you've got whipped cream, meringues, fruit, typically strawberries, and then we just combine it with a cake, a light sponge, decorated to high heaven. It is perfect, it's delicious, it's a showstopper, and I know you're all gonna absolutely enjoy it as well. So when you think of an Eton Mess, like I've said, there's fresh cream, fruit, and meringue. But for the sponge for this cake, we're gonna do a simple sponge of butter, flour, sugar, and eggs with some fresh strawberries added in. So it's a really simple, super sponge, but it's delicious and it's so easy to mix. So I'll show you the ingredients. So here I've got some medium eggs. I use 6, but if you have large, you could probably get away with 5. The best thing you can do is to weigh them in their shells though, and get as close to 300 grams as possible. We then have some self-raising flour as always. I find it best in cakes, but if you can't use self-raising flour, you can use baking powder mixed in with plain flour. Then we have some baking spread. You can also use unsalted block butter, but either way, both are good. Just make sure they're at room temperature to mix in really easily. And here I have some caster sugar. White caster sugar, golden caster sugar, both work really, really well. But again, it just mixes in easily. And then here I have some chopped strawberries, quartered or halved, just so that they can sprinkle onto the sponges really easily. Whenever I start making a sponge, like you always see me use my stand mixer, but this works the exact same with an electric hand mixer, a bowl and a spoon, whichever way. I start by mixing my butter with my sugar, making sure that they are combined well, because this is when you will discover whether your butter is the correct temperature. For example, if your butter is too cold, it will be a little bit lumpy, and then this means you can really mix it now to make sure this isn't a problem later on. Once you've mixed them together, I then add in my flour and my eggs, mix them together to a thick, delicious cake batter, split them between my tins, and then I'll sprinkle on the strawberries at the end of that. I'm going to start by adding my butter to a bowl. I'm using baking spread, but you can use block butter as well. And then I'm going to add all of my caster sugar, white caster sugar or golden caster sugar, both work well as well. And then I'm going to mix these together until combined. And here I have my medium eggs. You can use 5 large instead, but the best tip, weigh them in their shells just to match to 300 grams. Whilst I mix this, I'm going to add in my self-raising flour. And there you have your cake mix. So once your cake mix is ready, it'll be lovely and smooth and thick like so. I grab my cake tins. So these are 8-inch cake tins. It's, to be fair, my standard cake tin size that I nearly always use, but these are loose bottom to make my life easier. You don't have to use loose bottom tins, but it's entirely up to you. Just make sure they're 8-inch. I always line the bottom because I find that's the bit that sticks. Usually when a cake is perfectly baked, it will come away from the edges of the tin, but you can line the edges if you want. Also at this point, your oven should be preheated. I preheat mine to 160 fan because when you're baking a cake, you want to use the cake mix straight away, put it in the tins, put it in the oven and bake. So all I'm going to do is split the cake mix between my tins, then sprinkle over the strawberries and then put it in the oven. Then I'm just going to make sure my cake mix gets to the edges of the tin and it's smooth. After you've put the cake mix into your tins, I then grab my strawberries and I simply just place them over the top evenly between 3 sponges, and then it's ready to bake. Now everything is in the tins, I'm going to bake in my preheated oven. They take about 30 to 35 minutes, so I'm going to check after about 25 minutes just to see how they're getting on. And then once they're baked, I'm going to leave them to cool fully before decorating. So now that my cakes have baked and cooled, as you can see, they're delicious sponges with all of the strawberries in, and they're perfect. So I'm just prepping the decoration. For the decoration on this cake, to make it as like an Eton mess as possible, I've got some double cream whipped with some icing sugar for a sort of a stabilizing agent and sweetness. I have some meringue nests. These are shop bought ones, but of course you can make your own. I'll put a link to a recipe on my blog in the description box below if you do want to make your own. Then I have some strawberry jam, freeze-dried strawberries, and some fresh strawberries, because if you're gonna go like hard on a theme, you might as well go all the way. So we've got all of the delicious bits, and I'm gonna lightly whip the cream with the sugar together to soft to medium peaks, and then we're gonna layer everything up together to create the absolute perfect showstopper. I'm gonna start by pouring my double cream into a bowl. And then I'm gonna add my icing sugar. And then I'm gonna whip these together to soft to medium peaks. So I'm going to start by adding my first sponge to the plate, and then I'm going to spread over some strawberry jam. Now I'm going to add on some of my whipped cream and just spread this slightly to the edges. And then I'm going to crush over some meringue and just place it across the top like so in chunks. And then I'm just going to repeat this on all of the layers just to decorate it so perfectly. I like to give the top a little bit of texture with my angled spatula just to help the decoration. And then I'm also going to add on some strawberries and freeze-dried strawberries this time for the topping. And of course, that is how you make my Eton Mess Cake. As you can see, the absolute showstopper of a cake that it is. It's scrumptious, delicious. It's so easy to make. It's so light and Moorish. Honestly, it's one of my favorite bakes. So of course, make sure to check out the full recipe. I'll put the link in the description box below, as well as the ingredients. Any questions, leave them in the comments. And of course, I hope you enjoy this bake. Come back next time for something absolutely delicious, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and please give the video a thumbs up. But I hope you love this recipe and enjoy.